You are listening to the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast. The ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast is sponsored by ADDclasses.com. Sign up now for a free webinar by going to www.addclasses.com. This is your co-host, Tara McGillicuddy, and today I am here with Linda Hillger, and we're going to talk about the power of practice when it comes to people with ADD and ADHD. So welcome back to the podcast, Linda. Before we get started, can you let our listeners know a bit about yourself?
Hi, Tara, and thank you for inviting me today. This is terrific. I have about 20 years of professional organizer working with people with ADD in both classes, and initially I did in-home workshops and went to private clients, but now I do it in class form. So, and my website is lindahilger.com if anyone's interested.
Okay. And we actually did a webinar a couple weeks ago, and at the end, people were asking about whether or not they wanted to take your boot camp again. And I thought this would make a good podcast episode because people with ADHD sometimes will take a program and not complete it or just feel like a failure and feel bad about the possibility of taking it again. So what I thought we'd do is talk about why it makes sense when you have ADHD to, if you've already taken a program, worked with a coach, read a book, why it may be beneficial to do that again, tap into it again, do it a second, third, fourth, eighth time. So, Linda, where would you like to get started when it comes to this topic?
I am a huge fan of practice. I think that is the key for our community because we're so individual. Of course, we share all of those things that we have in common, right? The late, running late, the disorganization, the preparing, and then the actual finishing of projects. And we run around with 100 projects in our mind. So those things are all things we have in common, but everybody has their beautiful little strength. And, of course, many of us have that creative ability, that unbelievable creative ability. So one of my favorite things is the get up back on that horse, whatever it is. Like if you, like people that took your coaching classes or people that have taken your classes in the past, getting back and doing it again if there was something that really worked for them, you know? So I love practice, and I feel like my whole life has been practice. How about you?
Yeah, and a person with ADHD, as somebody who's worked with people for over 20 years, practice is great, but a lot of us really, we sometimes need that outside motivation, that outside inspiration, something outside of ourselves for structure. So that is sometimes why taking a class, working with a coach, doing a support group, something outside of yourself can really help you do that. Because I know it's like, okay, I fell off track again and I beat myself up or I get into a funk, but I reach out to someone, I take a class, and sometimes I got to tell you, just paying for something alone, that's outside motivation. So that practice definitely makes sense, but a lot of us with ADD and ADHD, it really helps to have that outside influence, something outside of ourselves to help us get back into that practice mode.
Oh, so that's such a good point. And also the recreating of my systems, like forever when I was disorganized, every time I made a new system, I would try to practice it and I'd change it up and then I'd forget what my system was and make kind of like, and eventually going, stop, I need to see somebody. Like, I need to structure this and just repeat it until it's real, until I could wake up in the morning and go through the steps without thinking about it. Because it seems to me, it's interesting about people with ADD, we're great at habits, and most of us will beat ourselves up and think of, I don't know, the bad habits that we do and talk about them. You know, you'll hear them all the time, running late or whatever, I'm late again, blah, blah, blah. And those are all just habits. Well, it seems to me that when I find a good habit, or like in coaching groups when or classes, when I find a good habit, I actually get super stuck on the good habit, and then I don't have to think about it anymore. You know, like binders, when we started to design holders in boot camp, and like class 5, we do binders, and that's a way to structure all your paperwork so you know where it is in an emergency or if you need it. And so many people walk around, I know me, in my purse. I had tons of paperwork, but I never knew until I structured places to keep it. I never knew where to put it. So that was like an ongoing thing until I started practicing keeping it the way I wanted to, you know, and we structured the binders, the holders of things. What about you? What do you think when you look back on coaching classes or classes that you've taken? Have you had to do them more than once or pick it up again afterwards? Because I have.
Well, I have, but sometimes I can relate to a lot of the people who sign up for the boot camp and, like, go to one class and don't come back. Like, I've done that with classes before, and then I feel bad about it. So I know sometimes I never made it a habit to begin with. So there's that frustration, but there's that shame in there, like, oh, my gosh, I messed up again. I mean, that's something as someone who, you know, I run ADD classes. I'm the mastermind behind it. I can relate to that. But there have been and like sometimes I'm in a different frame of mind, a different level when I take something. There's classes that I've taken before are just like things I've listened to, and I'll listen to again like 3 years later. I'm like, oh, I don't remember that last time. I didn't pick it up. I'm in a different frame of mind, so it's a different perception that I have. So yeah, I think for me,
that's so smart.
It can be, you know, where I was 3 years ago. Life happens, things get in the way. You grow, you change. So, you know, I'm not beating myself up as much. It's like, okay, it's if you remember that. And yeah, I just think it's important to not beat yourself up, because a lot of these classes, not necessarily ADHD related ones, most of the people marketing ADHD classes know the ADHD brain, but other types of classes, they do a hard sell. This is going to change your life, money back guarantee, blah, blah, blah. And people are a lot of times, they don't get it the first time. And, you know, maybe they say, I don't get it and I want my money back. Or that's one of the reasons I don't do a money back guarantee at ADD classes, because a lot of it is how much time, effort you put into the program, and I make the classes affordable. So like the boot camp coming up, it's a regular price for the basic version is $97. We offer like early bird specials and stuff too. Whereas the program you run, I've seen people offer a similar type of program for like $997, $1,000, which, yeah, I mean, some people can afford it, but we price it so people can have the option to take it multiple times, because that being in it live helps you, having that structure of time or a structure of listening to it each week. So did I answer your question, Linda? I think I went off on a tangent.
I think your tangent's good, because I see those prices and they're out of my league. And so, yeah. And I think as a community, we really have to rely on each other. Like if particularly, you know, the boot camp is exercise-based, so you learn how to do a quick clean, you learn how to do a clearing, you learn how to do a station, you learn how to make holders for specific things, you know where to store them, you clear it out, you get it done. And so if I had taken that class when I was young, really I probably wouldn't have done much of the exercises and created the stuff, because I was so confused. I really needed to just listen the first time.
Yeah.
And then take it in, like just take in all the stuff, and then maybe take a breather and then actually do it. And we have, I mean, we're talking about a class that's been running for like we on like 15 years or something. I'm bad at time, but if I looked in my organizer, I could tell you when we first started. But there are people that have taken boot camp 5 and 6 times and knocked it out of the park, created all of it. Like I've had emails back from a woman who was a single parent, and she saved money using the bill book system for money. She saved enough money to replace her roof, and it had leaked for years, and she didn't think she'd ever have enough money. And she wrote me this gorgeous email that I printed out and kept in my keepsakes from the years of boot camp, because I was so proud of what she had done. And it really took, you know, just listening and then doing it and then doing it more and doing it more. And she rocked the financial section, you know. That's cool. So I would have needed to take it over and over from my own head. And I think that's why.
I know I do the same thing. Like when I read a book, one of those, workbook type of thing, I like to read it first, see what the exercises are, then go back at a later time and actually do the exercises. So I think, I think a lot of people with ADD or ADHD are like that. So that might be why, it makes sense to take classes multiple times or listen to something multiple times, because we all process things different. Our brains work different. Our styles are different. So if you're someone like me who really benefits from observing first or knowing what's involved first before taking action, that's something to really think about.
I agree. And in terms of that's why I've kept it centered on ADD classes, actually, your website. The reason I did that was because I see your site as like the entryway to getting all the different levels. When I was disorganized, I had so many questions. Not only was I physically just totally disorganized, but my head just needed an explanation. So that's why I've always kept at your area, because you have so many different things to offer. And one of those that I hope that we've filled the gap is for people that just need to get structured systems in for boot camp. And there's plenty of people that have come in and they've talked on the first class about how they've taken it 3 times and they're at whatever point. They're at the organized shelves and they're doing their home office, or they're doing the project notebooks and the project binders, knocking their projects out, or any projects that they're doing, even if it's business related, it still has the 5 steps in it. So I think your site has done that because of the way all the other coaches and you price things so that they're real for our community, which really needs a special hand. And I think you have been that special hand. So even though that's not the topic, I want to tell you that's how I feel.
No, thank you.
About you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, give people accessible information at a reasonable cost. Because when you offer everything free, I'd like to offer everything free, but I have to pay my bills and it costs me money to run the site, to record things and all that. But sometimes people do not take it as, I don't know if seriously is the right word, but when you energetically pay for something, put that money out there, you're more apt to put the time in, put the effort in. So, I think that's why I like to keep it reasonable, but I don't offer everything for free. There are plenty of free resources on ADD classes, though.
Oh, yeah, a ton. A couple times a month you have something posted that's interesting for our community to learn. Mm-hmm. So I totally agree, and I love it. And so in this, if anyone is hearing this and you've made it a certain point, like you were practicing quick cleans, or you made it through the clearing and you did that one room, or you're doing your project, or you're doing your office, just in case anyone happens to hear this, if you've taken boot camp again, you could knock the next step out. Like, that's the goal, to knock the next step out, because it's only 5 steps. And come in and tell us, either in the forum, if you're just a listener, that's great, right? You have 90 minutes a week to get it done, because you'll be listening to everybody else. And if you're a person with great experience in any of those steps, like say you did quick clean and you got it, you do it. That's your thing. You wake up in the morning and you do a quick clean, and you move to the living room and you get everything settled so it feels good for you, and you know that piece. Go into the forum and share it, because so many people from around the world take this class and they feel overwhelmed, just like you did the first time you took it. And how gold, how thoughtful to share it with another person and say, I did this and you can get it done too. And this time I'm doing my bill book and I'm knocking my finances out. Or this time I'm doing my home office and I'm going to do this. And really, when you go back and you read those forum lists of how people feel when they start and when they finish, it's a whole new world. It's just healing. It's healing for all of us, because we only have each other to rely on, don't you think? We're valuable to each other.
Yeah, and that's another benefit of a group coaching program, a class like boot camp, the other clubs and all the other things, is that connection is so vital, because you have people in there that are overwhelmed. they've never taken it before. Or you have somebody that took it 3 years ago, felt bad about signing up for the next time. You have somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I'm on my 6th time taking it and this is how I progressed. So they have that connection. They hear from people. So like practice is great, but that practice with other people who are going through similar things and at different levels of their life is so healing, so beneficial.
Absolutely. And, you know, all the projects, I remember one of my favorite comments through boot camp was a woman who, we were talking about how the things you want to do, the projects you want to do, every one of them is just important to you. So whether you decide to free yourself and get rid of a couple that you're never going to do, like I'll probably never end up learning to weave or knit. I probably will never learn that. And over the years, I've thought about it, but I'm never going to do it. So I finally got rid of those, and I felt so relieved. And then other projects that I was like, oh, I really want to do this. I really want to finish this room. I really want to create this space. Every single project is actually just important to me. So it's all power to myself because I either get rid of it and I'm relieved, or I actually do it. It's one of my 3 key things this month that I want to do, and I actually see it through so I feel great. And one of those women who did that, when she was doing her projects, and she was really overloaded at first. So when she started clearing them out and deciding, this is old, I'm never going to learn to knit, she found her power. And she was like, oh, my God, it's so true. All of these things, they're weighing me down. So I got rid of the old ones, and now I'm so psyched because I only have a few that I really want to do, and they're really important to me. She found herself in that. And man, she just let loose. The next 3 classes, every time we met, she was just talking about how she was banging them out. She was banging it out. And it was one of the most uplifting people because whenever we got a chance to talk with her in class, I was like, okay, where are you? She's like, I'm on step 2 of this project and blah, blah, blah. It really felt good. And that's what we do for each other because otherwise, if you think of when you first start out with ADD, it's so frustrating and everything seems to be kind of against you. So as you actually learn, you're like, oh my God, this is actually, I found an easy way. The silver lining comes out. And I love that. I just love it in our community to see that pop up. Person after person conquers their issue. It's healing as a group. And what are they now? What are the estimates for the amount of people with ADD on the planet now? I remember 20 years ago, it was 15 million. What is it now?
Yeah, I don't know numbers, but I'd say it's close to 15% of the world population. That's the last I heard.
So healing step by step of all these individuals wherever they live because they can just call into a class and listen and go step by step through the book and knock things out. That's a lot of healing. That's great. That's beautiful. So bring it on. If you've taken boot camp, might as well say, if you've taken boot camp, take it again with us and share this information. That's cool. I'm glad we covered that.
Even if you haven't taken boot camp before and you've taken another ADHD related class and some people may have taken a class somewhere else and they got something out of it, but it's they still need more. They still want more. But I think the thing is to remember that it's okay if you've taken a class before all your problems weren't solved, that you don't have a perfect life yet, that it's a process, that, don't beat yourself up because Linda, you and I, whether it's ADHD or other types of classes, we've taken classes multiple times or we've taken the same subject by multiple teachers. So just don't beat yourself up on the fact that you've taken a class before, you've worked with a coach before, you've read a book, whatever resource it was, and you still need more. I mean, that's normal, I think, for people with ADHD in common. So, I mean, the big thing I want to, put out there is just don't beat yourself up. It's okay.
Yeah, I think at some point I overkilled on the beat myself up thing. And eventually I kind of gave in and realized, I'm creating. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to bother with the beat up anymore. It's more fun to see what I can actually create and what I can do. It just makes me feel better. So maybe I'll be, I certainly wouldn't have known I could handle what I handle now. If someone asked me when I was 20, I would have laughed at them, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And who knows where I can bring myself if I just practice, where I could be myself in 5 years. I think that's, it's just more pleasant to be curious and create and think about the future possibilities than it is to sit down and talk about all the crap from when I was younger. Only because it's past, you know, it's old, and that beat up doesn't get me anywhere. It doesn't give me any good energy, and I would prefer that our community gather good energy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people coming into boot camp or whatever class they're taking are overwhelmed. There's so much negative energy around them or in their space. That's why something like the boot camp or another type of program just shifts the energy. That in itself, you're around like people who are talking about success, learning new things, have that excitement, that in itself can be life-changing, in addition to the skills and what you're practicing in the community. So I think that's another benefit of taking a group program is shifting your energy and, you know, giving yourself permission to kind of have fun with it. I don't want to say totally have fun with it because I'm not the organizing type, so I kind of have fun with boot camp. Some people might find it extremely fun, but it's definitely going to shift the energy and move you into more positive energy, which is going to help you learn. It's going to change the chemistry in your brain if you're around positive people.
I totally get it. I mean, after 20-something years, I'm still not going to think that doing my dishes or doing my paperwork is fun, but at least now I can do it, and I can listen to some good music or a good podcast while I do it. And I know the tricks to calm down my brain so that I actually think of it as personal time because I'm listening to an audiobook and banging out my dishes. You know what I mean? So there's answers. So it's all good. It's all good.
All right, Linda, we are actually getting towards the end of today's episode. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with people today?
We're all in this together. We're all in this together, and we're all learning. So if you have a class or a coach or a club or if you're taking boot camp and you want to take it again, jump on in because we need good energy. We need people with that can tell their stories and are willing to practice and willing to make that next step and get to whatever they didn't cover. Because it's all healing for everyone to hear it and to see where you can bring yourself. And it all adds up over time. And so that's what I would say. And we have a class, when is it, March? So we
March 11th.
Listening to this at the beginning of March, right? So we are, this audio is taking place, it's March 2nd today. So it starts March 11th. So jump in. And by the way, this is a noon Eastern Standard Time, New York time. We're going to be doing this class. You can listen to it anytime, of course, because it's audio taped. So if you have to do it at night or on the weekends, you can always listen to it and go step by step with us. But if you want to do it live, we're doing it in the daytime. So moms, listen up. And people that are home or it's convenient on a Wednesday, bring it on. How's that?
Yeah, and Adult ADD BootCamp.com is where to learn more about that. All right, Linda, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I want to thank everyone for listening. And remember to stop by addclasses.com and sign up for a free webinar. Thanks again, everyone.